Okay. Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm going to be refuting Osvaldo's claim that tax increases will affect the people of California in a significant negative way. His subclaims are, firstly, tax increases will affect businesses in a negative way. Secondly, a tax increase means less consuming on goods. And thirdly, a tax increase will hurt our schools. On his first claim, I have a problem with the evidence used. He used Jerry Brown's legislation requiring that 1/3 of electric utilities from companies should have to arise from renewable sources, and this is not a tax increase, and thus this evidence is irrelevant. The correlation between electricity cost increases and unemployment rates is missing evidence to prove the claim. The only evidence provided shows an increase in utilities costs. The secondary claim is about negative effects on increased taxation to businesses. However, the points in the subclaim only prove that electricity is more expensive in California than other states and unemployment rates are rising, neither of which lead to proving that tax increases will affect businesses negatively. Government spending as a result of tax collection has proven to help other states, such as Michigan. Years ending December 31st in 2009 and 2010 in Michigan show a decrease from 14.5% to 11.7% in unemployment rates, ranking the state from #1 in the country to #3 in the country, behind California in a one-year span. The source of such a drastic change in such a short period of time is credited to two things: the exit of 73,000 unemployed citizens to other states, and Obama's economic policies such as the stimulus package, the auto industry bailout, and the Federal Reserve's bond buying program. Conversely, California has introduced 113,200 additional workers into a jobless market and cut government spending, which has now led to a 12.5% unemployment rate, the second highest in the country. On a secondary claim that a tax increase means less consuming on goods, evidence provided shows no relation to tax effect on consumer spending. Instead, it goes to show the unemployment rate, the sales tax increase from last year, and the income tax of a middle-class worker. The evidence used does not seem to relate to anything. No comparisons or contrasts are presented to highlight the numerical values provided or provide understanding of what the statistics mean. No reasoning is provided to connect the subclaim that tax increases lower consumption of goods and the main claim that tax increases will affect Californians in a significant negative way. The fault lies on the consumer, not tax increases, as to why the consumption of goods have been decreasing. Also, where California consumers are failing to spend is on big-ticket items such as cars, televisions, planes, what else. Consumers in California are spending. They're just weary of spending on high-ticket goods. A study released June 2010 conducted by the Gary Anderson Center for Economic Research at Chapman University shows that California consumers have been more optimistic of the economy than the rest of the nation for as back as February 2009, where the data was initially gathered. Conversely, the same study shows that the sharp increase of consumer willingness to spend on high-ticket prices in February 2010 would not become a regularity in Californian spending plans, as a study returns in May 2010 showed yet again the consumer unwillingness to spend on high-priced luxuries. The third claim, a tax increase will hurt our schools. Aside from noting that California has a 50% graduation rate in high school and the second lowest test scores in the country, there's no evidence provided that tax increases will hurt our schools. Without evidence showcasing the detrimental effects on tax increases to public education, the secondary claim's burden of proof has left unsatisfied. The secondary claim is backed up with more claims as opposed to evidence. The tax increases show no correlation with the performance of students in California. The reasoning behind why taxes will hurt the California school system are noted as poor education leading to higher unemployment rates. There is a budget deficit, thus something has to happen, either through budget cuts or tax increases. It is detrimental to the California school system to force even further budget cuts, as we've experienced so far. Sales taxes may increase the price on goods, but they also pay our teachers' salaries, as public education is one of the large recipients of funds gathered from sales taxes. That is all.
started yet. Let me finish here. Figure you lock it, nobody else can come in. We can't fight over any more seats. No, I was just. I thought that's what you were doing. You know, I'm going, what? That's a solution to the problem. All right. Kevin, the labeling is pretty clear, and you have good challenges on the applicability of the advocate's evidence and secondary claims to the tax issue. I think you do that in a pretty good job on a couple of the points. The second point where you're arguing the Michigan example, I'm not sure that one actually, that's one place where you've got some specific evidence that applies, and it sounds to me like the evidence actually advocates or supports the advocate's point of view rather than your point of view. You're kind of arguing an alternate causality thing, but the things that seem to be affecting unemployment are not increased tax revenues, but spending by the government, by the federal government, for instance, on programs, or getting rid of people. Okay, your unemployment rate drops when 73,000 people leave the state. Yeah, how does that prove a tax increase doesn't have a harm? If it was the state of California losing 73,000 people, I think people would think that was a harm. All right. The third point, I thought you had a good press on the evidence there. The idea, though, that consumer spending is not affected by tax rates, you basically say the source of the problem is a lack of consumer spending. It's their damn fault. But there's not really much explanation about why the consumer spending is low. And in fact, on your last point, when you talk about state sales taxes, that might be an explanation. So I think you could run into a problem here if this debate went further, because that would probably be the first response of the advocate by saying, yeah, you know why they don't want to spend on big ticket items? Because the state sales tax is basically 10% of the value of that item. So instead of paying $5,000 for that new motorcycle, they're paying $5,500, and that extra $500 is the thing. That's the deal breaker. So in essence, I think that could turn around and bite you back. But it's well organized. Like I said, I thought you had good presses on the advocate's evidence and a couple of good reasoning challenges, but your own evidence sometimes says it can easily be interpreted in different ways. All right, thank you.